What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Dog Benfica Podcast. Alfredo Fumasis, episode number 422 is what we're up to. Cristiano, what's happening?
What's up?
it's
Missed you, bro. Missed you.
been a bit, right?
Yeah, missed you. I mean, my brother Dave, we talk on a daily because I need the stats. I need to be kept up.
You need the stats.
I need to be kept up to date.
Dave, stat. Dave, what's happening, my brother?
Nothing much. Good to be back on. It's been a hot minute, but lots to talk about here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been 2 weeks? Of course, I was in Portugal last week. I was there for the Bayern game, and
How was that?
It was wonderful. We'll get to talk about it in a little bit.
I want to hear about the trip, Dave. Right? We want details. Did you go to Ramiro? Did Rui Costa take you out?
The details. There are no details.
Okay, that sounds fun. Sounds like a hell of a trip.
The details there are no details other than what the normal stuff was, right? So traveled to Portugal, spent some time with my parents. Game was on Wednesday, went to the game, watched the game, hung out, and came back on Friday. There wasn't much more after that. I don't lead a glamorous lifestyle like you do, Cristiano.
You're the Capitão, bro. You're Captain America. When you
Capitão, mas é só para os amigos, pá.
When you get to a place, it stops. Everyone stops, gets on their tippy toes, and
okay.
Oh la la, welcome, Capitão. No, you don't get that.
No, not at all.
Oh,
I don't get that at all.
Yeah, then you should. We're gonna boycott, Dave. We're gonna boycott these guys.
They don't roll out the red carpet for me like they do for you, Cristiano.
Well, I mean, estás lixado. Estás lixado.
They really don't.
Se tu estás à espera they bring out the carpet like they do for me, então é uma tristeza because I don't get that neither. I get a little tapete. I get a tapete and wipe your feet.
It's not even red.
Limpo os pés.
It's not even red.
Limpo os pés aí, pá.
Well, you don't want to wipe your feet on anything that's red, I would say.
I'm sure the club already has red carpet out 365 days of the year. So when Cristiano shows up there, he thinks it's for him, but it's already the red carpet as it is.
Dave.
Yeah, Dave's a little. Was he a little garbled up to you when he was talking?
Yeah,
a little bit, right?
A little bit.
Bring it closer or put it away.
No, you're good. You were just breaking up a little bit, but it seems to be good now.
Okay.
Anyway, welcome the two people that are joining us here, listening to us or watching us. Remember, Freddy's 2 is better than 1. That's all I got to say.
That's it, baby.
Tweet that out, Cristiano.
Okay.
Fala aí bocadinho, I'll tweet this out.
I'm trying to tweet it out. I'm trying to sign in. I mean,
You're trying to sign in. This is very complicated.
We need an assistant to the assistant.
We need an assistant to the assistant?
Dave, we need to get you an assistant.
I got this.
Where's Neil? We got to get Neil back involved. Sending out. Neil be tremendous at this. Neil's my man. He's got fanhoto. Neil right now will be sending out tweets to right now they'd be hitting Mars. That's how quick Neil is. I forgot my email address.
I got it. I already. I posted it.
Is it?
I posted it.
Capitão.
What?
That's why you need the red carpet, bro.
So anyway, episode number 422 is what we're up to. We got plenty to discuss. We got a Portuguese Cup game against what is it? Trofense, which was a team that Dave, you're in your stats. We had never beaten, right, in our whole history, or our 111 something years of history. We had never been beaten Trofense, and sure enough, we hadn't beaten them in Trofense in regular time. We needed extra time to beat them. We also the Bayern game, which I spoke a little bit about my trip to Portugal and that Bayern game.
Spoke a little bit about
and Vizela, which was this past weekend. Another tough game for Benfica, but we'll get into that. And then we got a League Cup game, the first game of the campaign of the League Cup tomorrow at Estádio Dom Afonso Henriques in Guimarães.
Is it the first?
It's the first game for Benfica.
I thought we played already one.
No, we haven't played yet. The other teams on the group with Guimarães, Rio Ave, and us. There's only three team groups.
3 groups of 3 teams.
3? No, it's 4 groups of 3 teams.
So you're saying 3s. I'm just going along with it. Dave, I just showed up to the party, bro. You drinking? I'm drinking. I'm just going along with it, bro.
No, we also got Estoril coming up this week.
Praia.
Estoril de Praia.
Da Praia. Não da Costa.
Estoril do Brasil.
Do Brasil. That's right. No, Brazil's soon to be Tondela.
Estoril do Tráfico.
Brazil soon to be Tondela. But listen, before we get into these exciting games, right? Nothing but exciting times. Dave and I want to hear about your trip to Portugal, and I just wanted to mention that for those of you who are tuning in into the Benfica podcast, thank you very much. Appreciate it. It's been a while, but thank you guys for tuning back in. We absolutely enjoy speaking to you guys. It's an honor to speak and share our thoughts with Benfica with you guys. And for those of you, again, that are tuning in now that are not aware that Alfredo and I were part of the Benfica FM program.
Yeah.
Trying to get Dave, but Dave, there was only room for one voice, for one voice. And I took up that seat. And just wanted to say it was a tremendous time. We had fun.
Yeah. We had fun with the exception of the Desafio at Carlos.
Well,
What was it, 0-0?
Well, you have to.
It was 0. After 5 questions, it was 0-0.
Nah, and
we had to go to the tiebreaker.
First of all, Dave, let's set this straight. First of all, look, I'm gonna set it up. If I went there and went 5 for 5, think about how that would make Baqueiro, right? Who is Mr. Benfica, Glorioso himself, More Glorioso. The guy knows everything about Benfica. Imagine when he goes 4 for 5 next week. It'd make him look bad. So I can't do that to Peter. Peter got his ass beat 2 weeks in a row by Picasso. All right. Flavio does his thing, the Joãozinho and them guys, big Flipão, when these guys show up, they do their thing. I couldn't embarrass them. That was one. 2, most importantly, as much as I love those guys, and I do love those guys dearly, Capitão, I love you more. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't embarrass you. So that's point number 2. And the third.
I didn't need you to embarrass me. I embarrassed myself enough.
But listen, I'm with you. You embarrass yourself, I embarrass myself. And then I thought I should have gotten a half a point for the Veloso. A half a point.
Why? Because you got one of the years correct?
Yes.
No, it doesn't work like
But
that.
you said 86.
That's Picado Gate type of stuff.
No.
And close only works in horseshoes.
You left Picasso. You left Picasso speechless when you mentioned Fred.
I was gonna say.
I just remember I said
Fred
Fred.
was making up players as he goes here.
Yeah, I said Fred, and that's the only thing I could.
I got a text message today from my good buddy, Felipe, aka Baqueiro, telling me that he's going through the whole archive. He's going
almanac.
He's saying that right now he's on the Ficheiro where before the club was joined at the Farmacia, he's going through those teams to see if there was a Fred. And he's having difficulty, but he believes in you. He just wants to know. He wants you to know. He told me, diz o Alfredo, que confia nele, vai aparecer ali Fred. And he's doing the best he can. He's on the black and white footage. You know what I mean?
Alfredo just had the Freddies on his mind, and that was his way to give him a shout out.
If I'm being honest, that was an homage to the Freddies that follow us every week. No, I drew a blank. I drew a blank.
It was Fernando Aguiar, wasn't it?
No. What do you mean?
No,
who ended up being the answer to that?
It was me, Thesis.
But
I want one shot, one goal.
But just so you guys know, I mean, all the current and not so current, but in recent past,
yeah, Fred's really not current.
Players that we could have thought of, and Cristiano brings Thesis out. That guy hasn't been with Benfica for the past 15, 20 years.
Who cares? When's Fred been with Benfica?
He's never been with Benfica.
But Fred is yet to be conceived.
I wanted to show off my knowledge. I went to someone nobody would think of.
Yeah. No, and you know what's funny is that after the game ended tied, I started mentally preparing myself saying, I know this is where this is going to go. And then Cristiano was asked to say stop, right? So then I'm thinking, okay, what letter is he going to land on? And I'm waiting for Cristiano to say stop.
I never said anything. And plus, remember,
no, you said stop, and he goes F.
Remember,
because he goes start.
It was difficult, guys. For those of you that had the chance to watch, and those of you that haven't and will get the opportunity to watch it, it's worth your time. Anything that I take part in, it's worth your time. But You have to remember, I wasn't in the same room, so it's difficult to coordinate things. You guys, I'm in a secluded place. I couldn't give away
isolation.
Isolation. I could not give away my current, my status, where I was at, my locale. But it was difficult to coordinate everything, and I think he had that set up with that.
He went start.
I think Picasso stayed up all night looking at all the F names, and then he was like, "Amaña, you can say stop, para, no, para, sigue, no, para," and he was gonna go to F anyway. It didn't matter what I said.
If he said G, that's a tough letter, G.
Gilbert.
Gilbert, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
No, my whole thing was just when he said start, and then me waiting for Cristiano to say stop, and I'm thinking, okay, if this doesn't take too long, I'm going to end up getting early letters. If this takes a little bit longer, I'm going to take... So my whole thought was like, okay, what letter is this going to be landing on?
It pays to be dumb like me because I was never thinking. I never thought. So.
And then when he said F, I was like, oh, God damn it. And then he said Feces, and I said, Fred. And then as soon as I said it, I was like, who the F is Fred?
Yeah, Fred.
But anyway.
Freddie Adu. It was an homage to Freddie Adu and the Freddies in our chat. Oscar Taquara Cardozo, what's up? Hello. Talking to the dog. Oh, that's you. But thanks, man. Thanks, Oscar.
Switzerland, man. What are you, baking chocolate, man, at this time of the night?
Who's in Switzerland?
Oscar.
So at this time of night. It's morning. My man's getting ready to go to work.
Is he baking the chocolate?
Nah, bro. The Belgian waffle. No, that's Belgium.
The Belgian waffle.
What gave it away, right? Patrick, what's up? Swofford.
Where's Swofford? Is that in Canada, Dave?
Doesn't sound like a Canadian city.
Patrick Swofford. That's his last name.
I got a Swofford from my speaker, right? What's it called? Swofford. I got a Swofford from my Bose surround sound. But this is more fun than the guy. I don't want to talk about these games, man. I mean,
life in Louisiana. Wow, dude.
Oh, bro.
That's
all I gotta say is that
I didn't know that we had fans in Louisiana.
I mean, we got fans everywhere. I'm just surprised that there's a Benfica fan out there. But be careful with them crawfish.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
I heard they like to get capsinha.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Thanks again for
Montreal. We're international today. Is this like back in the days? Remember when you called?
And Cesar was in Australia.
Is he in Australia?
Australia.
Where?
Australia, mate.
Benfica FM. Vocês não tem nada com a gente, pá. You got a bunch.
Carlos Tugas is everywhere. Yeah,
this is everywhere.
But anyway, let's get into. And look, it's been a while ago, so we won't bore you with the details. But certainly, this game against Tondela, teams they're ultra motive. Not Tondela.
Vuvuzela.
Trofense.
Oh,
it was a T, but and look, there was always going to be some rotation in the squad, but still, you're playing a second division team. You have an obligation or a duty to be focused and to be able to beat a team like this. They're going to be ultra motivated, right? And they're going to give it their all for as long as they could go. And we should have put the game away sooner, but we didn't. Took it extra time. Needed Andre Almeida on one of his forward runs to get us the winning goal
early on in the
early on.
Just like Flavio said on Benfica FM that day. At first we hated that golden goal rule, but in a game like that one, we're like, why couldn't they bring this golden goal rule? Because the game would have been over. Because it was literally at the start of extra time, and then you got to play the full 30 minutes of extra time. Yeah. But look, I think the most disappointing thing about that whole game was, obviously for me having to watch that crap. But aside from that, was the fact that there were, as you mentioned, there was plenty of rotation. I believe there's a rule in this league that there's got to be 2 regular, something like that.
It's a league. In the League Cup, there's a restriction.
Oh, that's the Portugal. So that's for this new one coming up. Never mind. Forget about that. I'm all over the place. But the one disappointing thing about that one game was, as I was saying, with all the change in the lineup, right, with all the turnover, you'd expect
one starter. Okay. One usual starter is what they line up with.
Okay. But in that game, the one usual starter was Vertonghen, actually. But besides that, the fact that a lot of these guys who have not gotten plenty of minutes early on here in the season. Again, we're only now in October, November, going into November. It's still early on, but these other guys, the Metes of the world, these guys that have been brought in to try to grab themselves a spot on this team, with to get some regular minutes, and not him, but majority of the guys on the field, let's just say. It was very disappointing to see the effort that they put forth. I was expecting these guys to come in with a little bit more hunger. And I get it. I understand. Obviously, you guys listening at home and wherever you may be now could absolutely make a compelling argument that, look, these guys have not played with regularity, so they're not going to be in rhythm. They're going to be out of form. And I understand that. But when you're comparing the opposition, it should still be a walk in the park. We understand that these smaller teams, and especially in these competitions, which is the beautiful thing, the big teams have to go on the road and stuff. Do you know that they're going to give it their all? They're going to be into it. Their fans, this is their World Cup. This is their one shining moment. Okay, they might be the only opportunity in their whole lives to play a game of this magnitude, not magnitude, but to play a team of this magnitude at home. These guys may never make it to first division. You don't know what obviously you have some players on the team that are going to go first and back and forth, but for a lot of those guys, they're never even going to get to live that dream. And so now they're playing the big giant Benfica. They're going to give it all that they have, and it's understandable. But at the same time, the guys on Benfica squad, the guys who don't get the regular minutes, the guys who are hungry, we hope are hungry, to crack that starting 11, to crack that rotation. And then you see a performance like this, and JJ had to make a couple of substitutions and bring in the Weigels of the world, João Mari's, bring in, heavy hitters for a game like this. It's absolutely inexcusable.
Yeah. And I agree with Cristiano. There's guys that are going to get limited minutes throughout the season, and usually this early stage in the competition of the Portuguese Cup is when they get their minutes. It's their time to shine, their time to prove themselves. And I think from Everton, I don't really think that anybody really stood out in the minutes that they got. Everton, obviously, but you're talking about, look, take it with a grain of salt, right? We're talking about a second division team. If Everton has troubles getting past a second division caliber player, then
give out the starting lineup. I don't know if you did.
No,
I forgot it. But give it out so
because I kind of wanted to briefly touch on it on the game, not get it too much into it. But Elton Late.
Yeah, but now since I talked about that for 20 minutes, you might as well give it out. So
Elton Late, Almeida, Vertonghen, and Murat, Gilberto and Gil Dias, Maite and Tarabt, Pizzi and Everton on the wings, and Gonçalo Ramos up front. So, I mean,
that should be enough to be the second division team.
Oh, yeah.
All day, every day.
Absolutely. 100%. But Benfica left it late. And like as Cristiano mentioned, this is a story that a lot of these Trofense players will tell their kids. Once upon a time, we played Benfica, and we took them to extra time, and they needed extra time to beat us.
This is reminiscent of what? Montalegre, right?
many teams.
We Dave gave. I remember the last podcast. Dave gave these stats against these smaller sides in the Taça Portugal competition over the last 10 or 15 years, and it's been absolutely atrocious. Then you and I come on here, and we want to reminisce about the good old days when we grew up. You could tell 6-0 before we even stepped into the field, and now. Now we needed to go to overtime. We need the great, savior Andre Almeida. Thank goodness. A lot of people were saying 4 right backs for what? And look, but it's true.
I know. And look, it's important to get through to the next stage, but certainly an unnerving game that you really don't need to go through that suffering. And waiting till the end, and God forbid that we take it penalties, and then if penalties is a lottery, right? So we were able to put it away, and thank goodness for that. But yeah, these games you gotta be beating these teams, and you look at what your rivals did. I think 4-0 and 5-0, beating smaller fish. That's where we should be. That's the normal thing. No, there's no need. We don't know if there was an ultra focus because of the Bayern game, but again, these are all players that are not going to play against Bayern. So I don't know where that was. Maybe the message didn't really get through. But
That's
anyway.
a good segue into the Bayern game. I don't know if Dave wants to add anything about that, but I have a lot to say about that attitude, and it'll come into play here in the Bayern game. But Dave,
go ahead, Dave.
Shock us all.
I know
with
you
the
don't have a lot of
stats.
stats, but
no, not a lot of stats here. I was just going to move it along and say that we won and ultimately ended up drawing Passos Ferreira in the next round there, which will play them in November here. I've got the date November 19th, but overall an ugly game. And on paper, like you said, we should be beating these second division clubs, but I don't know. Maybe chemistry does play a part in this, and not that we're going to get a minnow in the next round against Passos, but maybe JJ's got to look at that for the future and not do a full squad rotation. Leave some more of his regular starters in there and sprinkle in some squad rotation here and there.
I love you, Dave, but against a second division team, come on, bro.
You gotta rotate, man.
Benfica should be able to come in with some of the B team players.
You would think, like I said, on paper, you would think that, but there's something with this team now. How many years in a row you mentioned Montalegre and these other clubs that we continue to struggle whenever we put our second squad in there. So,
yeah,
I mean, if this isn't a priority for the club, anyways, as much as we'd like to think that we want to always win the Taça at the end of the season, but we're starting these guys and we're struggling. You're looking towards Bayern the next couple of days too, and it ends up biting us in the ass too, because rather than resting these guys, we have to bring in some of our other players to just get us over the hump there.
Yeah. No, look, I don't know what it is. I don't know if the message is strong enough. I don't know if the motivation is not there because you're playing a minnow. But in the back of your mind, you should be thinking these guys are going to be fighting to the death as they play us. So you best bring your A game if you want to be competitive, and if you don't want to be in an embarrassing spot. And certainly after 90 minutes, tied 1-1, if you're a Benfica player, you got to be embarrassed about not being able to beat this team. Fortunately, we were able to beat them in extra time, but still, I mean, not a very good look for Benfica there. Anyway, shifting our attention to the big game, the big midweek game, the Bayern game that happened on Wednesday. So I don't know. I guess do you want me to
a game that you were at?
Yeah.
And the first question I got: did they bring you out into the field to to let the eagle fly away, or to bring it in? Like nothing. They didn't bring you. No acknowledgement.
No, nothing.
He wasn't with the cheerleaders.
Nothing. No,
he's doing the flipping. He's flipping.
There was no cheerleaders. I don't remember seeing cheerleaders. And I got there. The teams were already warming up. But I'll tell you this, right? I'll tell you a story, and this not a story, but I'll give you some information that will be helpful for any of you that are looking to go see Benfica in the very near future while COVID's still going on, right? So the day of the game, and usually when I go to Portugal, I usually go to the Benfica store, the official Adidas store. I usually go pick up a shirt. It's just what I do. I just happened to have, or my parents had something to do in Lisbon that morning, so I said, let me just go there, get it out of the way, come back. So when I go back to the game, when I go back to the stadium, I don't have to worry about buying a shirt, standing in line, blah, 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 blah. So as it turns out, after getting my shirt at the official store, they started, and this was like 11 in the morning or 12 noon, they started putting up the barricades. And I was pretty confident that my vaccine card from the United States would be able to get me through. I mean, a vaccine is a vaccine card, right? So I went and spoke to one of the guys that was there and just asked, "Oh, so amigo, what's the deal with the vaccine card? What kind of proof you have to show? Blah 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 blah." So as it turns out, the CDC issued card that we have here in the United States is not accepted at Estádio da Luz. They will only accept EU cards or European Union cards, or a test that's within 48 hours, I believe. So a rapid test, PCR, antigen test, whatever, within 48 hours to get in. So as you can imagine, right? 11 o'clock. I'm in Lisbon. I got to get back to where we're from, and obviously we're from Alkshit, so we're not that far. It's 20 minutes away. But now I got to struggle to make sure that I could get a test. I could walk somewhere, get a test, and get my results before I head off to the game. Fortunately, I was able to do that. But had I not asked the guy, if I had just left confident that my vaccine card wasn't going to get me in, I may have sat outside Stade Luge. I know that probably close to game time, I probably would have called the supervisor and he probably would have let me in. But still, it's not a good situation that you want to be in. So, with that being said, if you're looking to travel to Stade Luge to watch a game in the near future, and while this COVID and the COVID restrictions are going on, make sure you have a test. Obviously, if you arrived the day before, whatever test you took to get on a plane, if it has 48 or 72 hours, whatever it is, you're still good to go. Otherwise, plan on taking that test the day of the game or the day before the game. Luckily, I was able to knock two birds with one stone, because with that test for the game, the morning of the game, which was on Wednesday, I was able to get on my flight back on Friday. So it worked perfectly. I didn't have to take another test. But needless to say, like I said, not a good situation. Crowded, extremely crowded. I think it was 50,000 people or 55,000 people. Obviously, the two sections that were empty were the two sections where usually the no-name boys and the Diablos Vermelhos sit, the fan sections or the clock sections. And I'll be honest, and I'll give my personal feeling on it. Being used to going to Stade Luge, and obviously we don't go every week. Obviously, we'll go once a year. It was sad. It was sad to see those sections empty and void of the supporter groups. The supporter groups are still there. They're just elsewhere in the stadium. The no-name boys are so they're on Piso Zero usually. If you can imagine, that area is Piso Zero, which is like the ground, the floor. Now they're on Piso Tres, so they're up all the way up top. And the Diablos Vermelhos the same deal. Usually they're at Piso Zero also. Now they're at 3. So it creates for an atmosphere also, but seeing those sections empty of fans and understanding that these are tickets that they could have sold and they could have had people in there to just add to the atmosphere, which was great, by the way. It would have been great, but I'm sad to see that what's going on with this Cartão do Adepto, and I hope that they put an end to that soon and they could resolve this. Sporting has already shortened the number of seats for the supporters group, so they're able to put some more fans in that area, and I think that Benfica is doing the same thing. But still, it's seeing, if you can imagine, a lot of you guys also watch this on TV, I'm sure, but if you could see that section, especially with the no-name boys right behind the goal, empty, it's just it's not a good look, and people internationally do not know what is going on. But certainly it gives a sense of, okay, what's going on with that section over there? It's cordoned off. There's nothing going on. But anyway, so great atmosphere. And I thought that you want to get into the game.
I wanted to hear about your trip.
No, it was a great atmosphere. I was able to get together.
Did you cry?
There was a lot. No,
close and personal?
there was a lot of traffic. There was a lot of traffic in getting to the stadium, and I was able to hang out and get a beer with the boys at the Mega Bar.
No pictures.
No pictures.
I
didn't take pictures.
No pictures didn't happen.
No, that's right. I forgot to take pictures. That's all right. But yeah, I got one. Then I went to the stadium. I tried to get in the stadium by the Eusebio statue. There was people just bunched together, just trying to get into one exit. A guy checked my COVID test. let me in, and then you go into
So
the
wait, so
doors.
they're making you you have to show proof of COVID test to get in the stadium, but they're letting you pack up like sardines in a can in order to show your COVID test.
Yeah.
It's pretty smart.
Yeah,
Smart.
no, it's yeah, it was super
A lot of
crowded.
this pandemic stuff doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it was super crowded. Got into the stadium, sat on my seat, and we were unfortunately we were right in front of where all the goals took place. So
That's
on
beautiful.
on that side
So you got
of
a clear view.
I got a clear view of all the Bayern goals. So anyway, let's get into the. Do you want to hear more? I don't have any more to say. After the game, I
I'm pretty sure
went back to the
Dave's got
mega
some
bar.
questions. Dave's got some
Dave, you got
Well,
questions?
Carlos has a question here. He wants some more background about the Cartão do Adepto, and is that a federal law in Portugal? Who's enforcing this here?
Yeah, so the Cartão do Adepto was something that was put in place by the Portuguese government, by the Ministry of Youth and Sports. And what that is really what they want to do is they have these sections that are separated from the rest of the stadium, right? So these sections are specifically for people with Cartão do Adepto. And why are people so against the Cartão Adepto? Really simple. The reason why they're so against it is because they have to basically give all their information, where they live, their names, their address, their phone numbers, to have this cartão do adepto, right? And a lot of fans is like, well, what do I have to do that? Because the club already has all my information. I'm a sócio. So why does the government need that information? The government already has my information in my bilhete de identidade, or cartão cidadão. Why do I need to do this? And the other thing is that within that section, I think the age limit is 12 and up.
12,
so if you're 12 years and younger, you can't go. You can't go to the and sit in that section. And and the biggest thing that they're fighting against is the freedom, really, and not have to give your information to the government when they already have it in so many other ways. So the government is at holding strong in terms of that. And also think about this, right? Every away stadium will have a section like that for the away supporters group, that now is going empty. So they're not able to sell those tickets for those sections for away fan groups. And it's sad. It's sad, but I think that people are starting to take notice of what's going on, and I think that sooner or later, I think somebody brought up to the Antonio Costa, which is the prime minister, and he said that, oh, I'm not aware. I got to look into that. It's like, how is he not aware? I mean, the guy is clearly a football fan. He's been seen at Benfica Stadium quite a bit. He's a Benfiquista. He's been seen at, and how does he not know about Cartão do Adepto? It's just probably just doesn't want to get into it, or he doesn't want to be involved. He wants to leave that for the minister. But anyway, I didn't write notes, obviously, because I was at the game. But I guess I could, from on top of my head, Vlaco Dimos, Verissimo, Otamendi, Vertonghen, Grimaldo on one side. Was it
Double A?
André Almeida on the other? Then you had
Mario Weigl,
João Mario, Rafa,
Darwin,
and Yaramchuk. And look, I thought that Benfica played pretty well. There was a couple close calls that the VAR but came in and called those Bayern goals offsides, and there was a few good saves from Vlaco Dimos, and at that point, I was thinking, man, if we're able to get through this, I think this is going to be our night. Going into the half 0-0, I think a lot of Benfiquistas were feeling good about it, because obviously the expectation that and that everybody had, and the logical expectation that everybody had is that by halftime we would already be losing 3-0. So 0-0 into the locker room, the team playing well, having a couple chances. I was feeling good. I was feeling good about it. I don't know how you guys saw it. But I gotta tell you this. I gotta tell you this though.
Tell us.
Watching Bayern live is very different from watching Bayern on TV. And to me, it's amazing how in sync that team is, because when Benfica's pressing and Bayern's trying to get out, there's a defender that passes the ball or hits the ball, and he knows that there's another player that's going to be there, and just seeing how players knew, even if they didn't even look up, know how a Bayern player was going to be there to get the ball. Just seeing that whole synchronicity between all the players and you like that?
Yeah, synchronization.
Yeah,
a gente inventa palavras.
Seeing that's not a made-up word. Synchronicity is the right.
Is it?
Yeah, it was also the
Police
name of an album of the Police. Synchronicity.
Police has an album.
Ai, tô fodido com este gajo. Police. Do you know the Police?
Newark Police, NYPD. What police we talking about?
Sting, you know Sting. Not the wrestler either.
NWA.
Dave, canta aí uma canção. Dave, canta aí uma canção do Police.
NWO.
Message in the bottle.
SOS. In a bottle. My singing is better than Cristiano's singing on.
Somebody help Christian here.
Hey, man.
Christian.
Hey, listen. That's an old.
Don't stand so close to me. Did Puff Daddy? What was the song that Puff Daddy covered? Every breath you take.
Yeah, but that was.
That's the Police, dude.
That was Puff Daddy.
No, that's the Police.
Yo, I need to get school. But listen, what were we talking about? What the hell were we talking about?
Synchronicity and Bayern.
Synchronicity.
The synchronicity. I mean, that to me is a new word. I mean, congratulations on
what is what did you guys think of that first half watching from home?
I thought Benfica. Dave, go ahead, because I'm always talking.
No, I think at halftime you can say it's a moral victory, because, like you said, we're coming into this match thinking Bayern, almighty Bayern, are going to come and steamroll us. But Benfica had their chances in the first half, and could have, if they were able to capitalize and finalize on their opportunities, could have really put one or two of their chances, kind of like the opposite of what happened in the match against Barcelona. Barcelona had those chances in the first half, failed to capitalize, and second half was kind of a different story. But overall, after the first half, I would take that as a moral victory for Benfica. At the end of the game, no moral victories, but at halftime, it's a moral victory.
Look, we all knew this was going to be one of those games where Benfica was going to suffer, right? Where they were going to be under heavy pressure from the Germans. And I thought Benfica started the game a little bit more comfortable than I expected initially, right? But then they started to, not more comfortable, I should say. I thought Benfica, again, I thought they would struggle a little bit more. That's what I was trying to say. And they did get fortunate a couple of times. You know, Bayern applied the pressure. They were able to get the ball in behind the two offside backs, in particular Andre Almeida. It seemed like they made it a point to target him early on in the game. And I thought he struggled a little bit, but then he got his footing under him. And I thought Benfica were able to, weather the storm, right, in the first half. And to me, and I told you this, Alfredo, that same night we spoke on the phone, the turning point to me in that game was something I never would have dreamt of saying. I know some people disagree, whatever, but again, I'm always, you guys know me. I look at things differently. When Andre Almeida got hurt, I thought that was a changing point in the game, because, yes, he had gotten beat a couple of times by Coleman or Koeman, whatever his name is. I can't pronounce Kingsley Coleman, whatever. But I thought he was in there, hanging in there and holding his own. And I think, look, we all knew he was going to have his difficulties going up the field and being able to keep up with the speed of the Germans. But I thought he did a decent enough job. And now the question mark is going to be, was he going to be able to withstand this? At what point was he going to break down? Right? I think if JJ was possibly looking to get 60, 65 minutes out of him. Unfortunately, it was earlier than that. It was in the first half. And when that happened, Diogo Gonçalves came in, and my man was on ice skates, Dave, the whole game. And it just seemed like that was the Honeywell.
Yeah.
And Barca. And Bayern said, right there, it's what we got to target. So much so that at the end of the game, you get a guy like Asane, who I thought had a spectacular game, scores 2 goals, and he wasn't even man of the match. It was Kingsley Coleman because he terrorized Benfica's defense the whole game, and in particular after that substitution. And look, for all his prowess going forward, we know that he was going to have difficulties on the defensive end, and that's exactly what happened. Credit to Bayern. We know that this is, if not the best team in the world, one of the best teams in the world. They have a tremendous coaching staff. Their coach unfortunately missed the game. Fortunately due to him, I'm saying fortunately for him, because you never want to see somebody come down ill, and they thought initially it was the flu, and then eventually, they figured it out. It was COVID. He missed the game, but their coaching staff is as prepared as anyone. They do a tremendous job of scouting the opposition, and I thought they knew exactly what Benfica was going to do, when, how, and I just thought, it was men amongst boys. Now, Benfica did have a couple of occasions in the first half. Darwin had that spectacular chance where he turned, and Emmanuel Neuer went and got it. Then second half, it had a Diogo Gonçalves chance, and then another Yarmchuk that he's got to get that on goal. Obviously, you could be critical of that aspect, but in a game like that, we don't want to be too critical of these guys. Now, I fell into the trap, guys. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you at home or wherever the hell you are right now, not the hell, whatever, wherever you may be right now listening to this, you guys probably fell into the same trap I did, which is you see Benfica hanging in there. And I thought Benfica, their best spell in the whole game was right before they gave up that free kick goal to Sané.
Yeah.
I kept bitching and complaining, texting Alfredo back and forth. Benfica were giving away the possession. We're giving away the ball way too quickly. For those of you that follow tennis, obviously you're very familiar with unforced errors. And I thought there was a bunch of unforced errors by Benfica. Yes, Bayern did apply a lot of pressure, but a lot of times Benfica did it was like hot potato. The guys were just, I don't know if they were afraid or the pressure got to them, whatever it was, but they wanted no part of it. And I just thought Benfica gave away possession way too much. And to an opponent like that, you can't constantly concede possession. You can't constantly keep giving them the ball, because sooner or later they're going to crack that. So Benfica had a little nice spell. That's the chance I mentioned with Darwin. I mean, not Darwin. Yarmchuk went wide. And then, I fell into the trap like, this is 70th minute, right? Right before that free kick. Benfica's playing well. You start to believe. You start getting that hope. And the worst thing you could have is hope in a lot of ways. Because once you fall into that trap, there's no coming back from that. And once that happened, man, and then the goal goes in, you get deflated. Obviously, they had 2 goals, as Alfredo mentioned before, with the VAR calling them back and yada, yada, yada. And so you start to believe, man, look, there's something in the air. You get all these goals, a tremendous save by Vlaco Dimos off his leg and off the post and crossbar. And, hoje é nossa noite, man. Pelo menos empatinho, pontinho, vamos sair daqui. And then, all right, 1-0, free kick, all right, man. And then 2-0, you're like, And then all of a sudden, the floodgates, it was a wrap. It was like the wheels fell off the wagon. The freaking house of cards collapsed. And from that moment on, I went from hope to devastated. Devastated. Alfredo knows.
Yeah.
Because social media, whatever, a lot of people were content with, we lost 4-0 to Bayern, best team in the world. But again, I don't even feel right saying this, but losing 1-0, 2-0, the way that they had played up until that point, not happy, but you understand it. But I sure as freaking hell ain't celebrating no loss. And then on top of it, a 4-0 defeat. That exigência, that attitude, that want, right? And Dave, as I mentioned before, and Alfredo, and I know I'm going on for a 20-minute rant, I'm sorry, but as I mentioned before about the good segue from the who the hell did we play through fence, right? To this game, which it ties it all up, which is that attitude, that demand, that exigência, right? And the one thing that I can't stand our neighbors from up north, and we all know that, but these guys, when it's game 5 of the season and they tie in Madeira, when they land, their clocks are there, letting them know that this shit, it ain't happening here. We're not pleased with this. And us, on the other hand, we're ecstatic because we only lost 4-0. I mean, think about the difference. Think about the difference.
I don't know
in
if there's
mentality.
anybody ecstatic, but
I mean, there was a lot of people happy.
There was
How
people,
about that?
yeah.
How about that? I don't know about ecstatic. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I saw a lot of people with no problem that we lost 4-0 to Bayern Munich. And again, it's that attitude, it's that mental chip, and it comes from the club to the fans to everybody.
yeah.
I mean, I can keep going, Alfredo.
I don't disagree with you. Just just a little bit of a track back. Yeah, I thought that Andre Almeida made a couple of adjustments after he saw what he was dealing with in terms of speed, and after that he controlled Kimmich. No, Kimmich.
Coleman.
And then when DG came in, he was just like you said. He was on ice skates every time they were going to that side. Every single time
I mentioned
they were going to that side.
I mentioned on Benfica FM that I thought there was a possibility going into the game that JJ might, put another midfielder in the game to kind of, get another body in that midfield in order to compact things a little bit more. And obviously he didn't do that. He went with the strongest 11 that he's accustomed to playing recently. But Alfredo, go back to that video. Go back to that game. And what in that first half, our midfield, Weigl, I thought Weigl played a really good game, all things considered.
Yeah.
All things considered. But that being said, our midfield was overrun by Bayern. Kimmich was just doing what the hell he wanted. They were playing balls behind our defense all the time. Here comes Verissimo coming to clean up after, behind Andre Almeida, and then it was it was a tremendous collective effort, but our midfield was non-existent. And again, maybe I have to go back and watch the game, but from that first look, from what I saw, our midfield was non-existent. And so I thought Benfica could have done a little bit better job in that aspect, but look, it was going to be a game that Benfica is going to be under pressure at all time. The one thing about Bayern that's impressive is these guys don't stop.
No.
They just keep coming and coming and coming. And,
it's really something to watch, man, especially the movement in up front between Sané, between what's that dude?
Lewandowski?
And the other guy. Was it Mueller?
Yeah, Muller, and then he came out for Gnabry.
Just seeing the way Sané and Mueller were coming into the midfield to make up a numerical advantage against Benfica's midfield. That was, I saw Otamendi chasing him down into the midfield, and that's how these guys were doing. But really, the first goal didn't surprise me, and I think that when you see Sané setting up for a free kick like that, you have to be scared. I'm surprised that he was able to hit that the way he did. It wasn't that hard of a ball, but I think that I've seen replays, and I think that the ball goes through between two heads of the jumping wall, and it really beats Vlaco Dimos. I don't think that Vlaco Dimos normally would give up that goal. Not that it was his fault, obviously, but it wasn't like upper 90 type of thing or up and down over the wall. It was something that went through the wall. He could have done better. I think so. And then the own goal, man. That you just felt
like Davey Hen just says in the chat.
Yeah, you just,
at least he popped one in, baby.
Yeah, you just. I was in the stadium, right, and I felt like all the oxygen being sucked out of the stadium. It was just like, oh. People were just like dropped from, having hope. Okay, 1-0 is not bad. We got a couple chances. We had a couple knocks. Maybe we could still keep this 1-0, and it's nice and honorable, whatever. But when you see that own goal, and then after that, I think that the team was done for after that. But I got to tell you, man, I was really impressed from what I saw from Bayern. And to me, and I think I mentioned this on the last podcast, is that Bayern, I feel that Bayern is the best team in the world. They might not have all the individualities, but they're the best team for me. And then just seeing the ease in which they got the third, and then they got the fourth, and then after that, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing because I thought the team had done so well up until the 70th minute, and then seeing give up two more goals when I really felt that the team had had given up after the own goal. So, you know,
Here's a question I got for you guys, and Alfredo, I'm a JJ guy. Dave, I was ecstatic when JJ came back last year. Nowhere near the JJ I was expecting to get, but at the end of the day, I was happy. What do you guys think about his substitutions in that game in particular? Obviously, you could criticize a lot of the stuff he's done, in many other games, but in that one game, once we go down 2-0, and he brings in Peasy, brings in Tarap, and who was it? Gonzalo, maybe. I know he's subbing like three guys at once.
And Everton too.
And Everton was in already. Everton came in earlier.
Yeah, Everton.
Okay, yeah, the three guys that came out in the 81st
was Everton scored
and Ramos.
Okay, so when that all right, they were already losing 2-0, and obviously things were very difficult. But it seems once Tarap comes in and PZ comes in, it was catastrophic. It was like, these dudes were completely lost. Estavam num lodo do carago, right?
I just think that after that own goal, I don't know. That's it. It's done. You're done for, because you're not creating a lot of opportunities. The two opportunities you have was that Yaremchuk run in which he hit wide, and then he got that Diogo Gonçalves shot that Emmanuel Neuer saved. But there wasn't much more, and I think that Bayern really had control of the game. So after allowing that second goal with
but the question
15 minutes to go.
But the question I'm asking is, once you make that, once he made those substitutions, it was as if
he was already thinking about Vizela.
It was like he gave up. Like the question.
Well, who else in his defense? Who's he going to bring in?
No, but that's not positions? What I was gonna. I guess I'm not asking the question the right way. Was at the time, was he better off just even making those subs? Just look, we're gonna pack things in and we're gonna take it from here. It's 2-0. Let's just at the end of the day, 2-0 is nothing to be ashamed of, right? Not to celebrate, but we did our best for 70 minutes, and now let's think about the important game on Sunday. Let's compact things in the back and let's just go home 2-0. As opposed to what he did, which was, it was like, Wild Wild West, and you do what you want. And it just seemed like there was, I don't want, like, disorganization. It just seemed like, there was no rule of law. Like, everybody just did what they wanted.
So he brought in Pizzi, Tarap, Ramos. The only other three midfielders or attackers that were left on the bench were Paulo Bernardo, so maybe somebody could have been a Champions League showcase debut
exactly
for him.
Mm-hmm.
Mete is also on the bench there, and Radonjic is also
all three midfielders
on the bench.
All three midfielders. And again, I'm not saying that Pizzi and Tarap shouldn't come into the game. I'm just talking about, instead of telling them to go gung ho, right? All gung, go attack and let's overturn this 2-0 deficit. Yeah. About let's just sit back, get possession, touch the ball around, and let's get out of here. I'm asking, I don't know, because I've seen people actually criticize that. So I'm asking you guys. I'm not defending it or criticizing. I'm asking.
I just thought the substitutions were really with no intent, I should say. And I think when you talk to the subs as they go in, they know exactly what they're going in for. Are they going to change the game, or are they going just to burn out the rest of the clock? I don't know. I mean, and Cristiano sent me a text, and actually before the game we were talking about it. Cristiano said, if we play with a two-man midfield, we're going to get overrun by Bayern. That's what happened. And then he said, he should bring in Tarap. And I told him he's not bringing in Tarap unless the team is losing. Because Tarap is not the guy that holds the ball.
My two choices was Tarap or Maite. And you know that. And I said that on Benfica FM as well. Those are, I mean, I didn't consider Pizzi an option. I thought it was. That goes to show you, Benfica is deeper this year than they were last year, but the options are still for games of this magnitude, right? Maybe for the Trufenses of the world, the options are still enough. Apparently not, right? We went into extra time, but you know what I'm saying. But in Champions League games of this magnitude, our options aren't, exactly lighting anyone up. So,
yeah,
look, the important thing is that JJ rotates and gets these guys.
Yeah. Look, I don't want to spend too much more time. I just think there can't be a moral victory, right? Because you lost 4-0. And I know that the score line is a little bit, it doesn't really paint the real picture of what happened during a game. But there can't be a moral victory when you lose 4-0. What I think is happening here, or that could have happened. You got to take a lot of things from this game. Number one, for 70 minutes, you played with one of the best. You competed with one of the best teams in the world, or if not the best team in the world. And then the other thing is that for a lot of these players, this is the level that you need to be at to be a good team. So I hope that a lot of lessons were taken from that, and especially having a gauge for the level where you need to be at in order to be good and competitive in a Champions League and internationally. So I thought that was one thing that could have been taken out of the team. It's not the end of the world. 4-0 to Bayern is not the end of the world. Like I said, the scoreline is not indicative of the game that was played, but certainly, it's a loss. It's a loss, and something that doesn't leave us in a bad position in the Champions League and on the table. But it's a loss. I don't know what's going to happen in Bavaria in a couple of weeks' time, but certainly, it's a loss, and I don't think anybody likes to lose 4-0. And I think it's one of the biggest defeats in the stadium, Stadio Luz's history.
Yeah, Dave's
I think four or fifth. Dave, stats so we can move on from this game, dude.
Yeah, only the third time that Benfica has conceded 4 or more goals at the Estadio de Luz European competition. The other 2 times, 65-66 against Manchester United, lost that one 5-1. And the other one was in 83-84, lost 4-1 to Liverpool. So some wrong side of history being made there. Talked about we're at the midpoint here of the Champions League group stages. Benfica's got 4 points. The previous 3 times that Benfica has had 4 points at the midway part, 2 out of the 3 they've qualified for the knockout stages after having 4 points through the first 3 match days. So we'll see if we're able to make it 3 of 4 this year.
Yeah. Yep. So anyway, moving on. You have something else to
You
add?
mentioned Bavaria. I was wondering, the Bavarian cream donuts, are they named after Bavaria?
Bavaria is the part of Germany where Munich is in.
So that cream is named after that, mostly.
Yes.
Oh, see,
just like Boston cream.
It's from Boston.
Probably. I don't know.
Things you learn on the Benfica Podcast. Boston cream's most likely from Boston, and Bavarian cream. Look at that. The what?
Synchronicity.
Oh, I thought you meant the greatest city.
Go get it, Dave. Go get it. Synchronicity. It's the right word.
I might actually have the album here. I'd have to go grab it for you.
So anyway, turning our attention to Benfica's next game, Vizela, which happened this past Sunday. Another. I'll give you the lineup. We'll get into the game. 2 hours of my life. Vlaco Dimos, Veríssimo, Otamendi, Vertonghen, Diogo Gonçalves, Grimaldo, Weigl, João Mário, Rafa, and Darwin Yarmchuk up front. Chris, as we know, that it's very difficult to change that chip coming off of a European game against a very good team, a game in which your mental and focus levels need to be at the very highest. Now you go from that, you travel up north to face Vizela. But one thing that I got to say before we get into the game is that I really I really enjoyed the whole local fan support in Vizela, man. They really seemed like they got something going on there.
Those
Something
are all super
very.
Dragões, bro.
You think so? They were all super
Hell yeah,
Dragões?
they all bought tickets so Benfica fans wouldn't get them, and they went there and supported because to them,
I didn't read that story.
Well, you didn't call me up. I would have told you.
Yeah, but look, but it's not the first time. So I think they got a very unique culture up there in Vizela. You know who's from Vizela? Benfica past player?
Yes.
Fred.
No. Hold on, from Vizela. Oh.
You asking me or you?
No, who?
Pineda.
Vitor Pineda. That's right. His daughter actually posted something on Instagram. I should have known that. That's right.
Yeah. So look, it's just I know that it's hard, but look, a team like Benfica, you got to come into this game.
Alfredo, but it shouldn't be hard.
It should. I know it's hard in terms of.
It shouldn't because this team was atrocious last
year.
But
I'm saying
they didn't win shit. And this year they should have the attitude that every freaking game is to win, regardless of the competition.
I'm saying it's hard from going into a game with that level of.
No, that's what I'm talking about. The chip. It shouldn't be hard to change the chip, not the competition.
But we see teams all the time doing that, struggling.
But this is a team that was embarrassed last year. Okay, had a disastrous season. A team that has everything to prove this year and everything to gain this year. It shouldn't be hard to change the chip. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not even going to go into the competition. A team that just got promoted from the first division for the first time in I don't know how many hundreds of years. But that's another conversation for another day. I'm just answering your question when you said it's hard to change the chip. It should not be difficult because this team was embarrassed. This team's this year should be redemption. Right, at the end of the year when they have the beautiful video of of the highlights of the season, and then next year on the bus, hopefully if we win the whole thing, it'll be redemption. It was a couple years ago, Dave was Reconquista. It's gonna be redemption. It should be all about redemption, bro. This shouldn't be hard to change the chip. It should be you schmucks were embarrassing last year. And we need to win every game matters. No matter who we're playing, where we're playing, and what players are on the field.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't disagree with you, Chris.
I need to go and give the motivational speech.
I just think that look, it's a well-organized team, despite them just being promoted. Well-coached team,
really good,
organized. In possession, didn't lose much of the ball, which made it more difficult for Benfica. And then those quick transitions, they were always dangerous. And I think that there's a lot of teams that are going to be playing there and are going to have a hard time.
They played really good football, as you mentioned. If it wasn't for the fact that they're playing against my Benfica and my heart's in my throat the whole freaking 2 hours, I would have been like really into the game. I thought they played tremendous. They one-touch football, getting to open space. They were playing. They made Benfica look bad in certain transitions, and and I just thought like it shouldn't be this hard. I thought that they created the better chances throughout the game than Benfica did.
Yeah, I
just think Benfica played like and that's
they did, man.
And credit to Vuvuzela. They did a tremendous job, as I mentioned. I enjoy football play that way. They weren't the prototypical small-minded Portuguese team of kicking the ball up the field and where they were small-minded, which is and I couldn't picture myself doing that, regardless of what team I played for. The time wasting, that shit needs to stop. That was atrocious, right? Aside from that one negative, the time wasting, I thought they played quality football. I thought that they had Benfica on the ropes. I thought for long stretches they played better football than Benfica did.
Yeah,
it was enjoyable to watch. I don't know who that coach is with that boy number. Yo, my man, heads off to you, but he got that off.
Look, and here's the thing, right? When a team plays against Benfica, if they need to execute the game plan, there needs to be a lot of running. Am I saying that some of that time wasting was deliberate? Some of it may have been, but I think that there's a legit thing after a certain amount of time that players that have cramps that need to have their legs stretched out. I think those are legit.
I've had cramps.
You had cramps in your sleep.
I've had cramps on the field, and I couldn't go for another 20 minutes without having cramps again. to me, where this was deliberate is, okay, let's just go old school numerical, right? You know, the 2 is the right back, the 3, whatever, 3 is the left back. It was, okay, now it's your turn, keeper. Then it was, all right, number 2, now number 3, and again, if you've had cramps on the field, Alfredo, you can't go much longer without having to be subbed off or having cramps again. Those players didn't have cramps again. They weren't repeat offenders.
Not until Benfica would start to break out and start creating an attack or had momentum going on themselves. And yeah.
Look, credit to them. They played good football. And shout out to our man. What's his name? Alex, the American kid. He played with CJ in the World Cup. Alex Mendez. Credit to him. Look, there's a lot of American kids who would have looked at a Vuvuzela and said, I'm too big for this. Look, Freddie, you do. Right? And credit to him. He went out there and he's playing good. And so I got a lot of respect for a kid like that. He comes from Ajax. You know, a lot of other kids would have twisted their nose at this shit, and he took the opportunity. So he took the challenge, and so credit to him.
It's turning out to be a nice project, man. It's turning out to be a nice project. But what I thought that Benfica did enough in their phase, the first phase of construction, then the second phase of construction. What I thought was lacking is that in the final third, it almost seems that you want a 1-2 through the defense. And when you have a compact defense, you're not going to get those 1-through offs. Where are all the shots from the outside?
There aren't any. What do you mean all? Where's the one?
There's none. There's none. And then in the second half, it did seem that the 3 guys that came in, so Everton, Gonçalo Ramos, and Radonjic came in, and Radonjic especially, and JJ admitted that he did tell both Everton and Radonjic, vai para cima deles. And you also saw a lot more shots from the outside.
And Radonjic came in at that right wing back spot, right?
Yeah.
Which is surprising. Now, the one thing, and I'm not knocking anybody, the one thing João Mario's brought to this team is that consistency, right? That stability in the midfield, right? He's a box-to-box. As I mentioned in day one, when we talked about him here on the podcast of joining Benfica, was, look, he doesn't do anything great. He doesn't do anything terrible. He's Mr. Consistent. There's a lot of games he's going to go unnoticed, but there's a lot of games he's going to do things, a little stuff right, and you're going to be very happy with him, right?
Yeah.
With that being said, his addition has solidified one position, but at the end of the day, this team severely, another big word, ladies and gentlemen, along with authenticity.
Maybe for you.
Whatever.
Severely.
Yeah, whatever. I'm trying to sound smart. You came up with a word I never heard in my life. But what this team severely lacks still is creativity. There isn't any creativity on the field. And that goes along with the lines, which what you're saying. A lot of the 1-2 force. Sometimes you need a guy that's able to penetrate a defense, right? Rather than a kick and run. But being able to juke a guy and invent cut back, we don't have any. Everton is the one guy, but he's miles away from what he's supposed to be. There is no creativity in our midfield, bro. We lack that.
Yeah.
We need that like you and I need air to breathe.
Yeah.
And it just, in years past, when we missed that creativity, we had Mr. Jonas that could pull a rabbit out of our hat. We don't have that.
Yeah, and that's why Rafa sticks out so much, or people feel that he does so well, is because he takes players on. He's the one guy that has a little bit of creativity that's taking players on, and that's causing mismatches. And Radonjic, he came in, and to his credit, I thought he did pretty well. I thought he did pretty well on his on the opportunity that he got.
Look, in Rafa, I don't concede. Rafa takes players on, but it's on speed. It's not on
from a standstill.
It's not, because the problem that Benfica's had, and you go look at all Benfica's games, when Benfica plays on a counterattack, Rafa's lethal, and even Darwin has proved to be. He's lethal until he gets in the box, and whatever. He becomes everything but lethal. But that's when these guys are productive. You look at the Benfica games over the last year, whatever, just go years before that, but it's particular this year and last year, right? When Benfica struggle the most is when teams sit back, right? And then the Rafas, the Darwins of the world, they can't use that speed to their advantage.
Yeah, because they don't have room in front of them.
They can't. And so that's where that creativity is severely missed. You get a game like a Bayern Munich where I saw something for the first time in a long time. I mean, I haven't seen that since I played in grammar school, which was the whole Bayern team was in Benfica's 35, like literally in our final third. The whole team, with the exception of the goalkeeper, they just pressed us.
And even Neuer was playing.
Neuer's playing like in the circle in the midfield. But then Benfica was able to use the speed, a lot of balls down the wings, and Darwin could make up. And Rafa had a horrible game. But that's what they tried to do. They tried to exploit the opposition through those two guys' speed, right? They're the greatest weapon. And then you fast forward to the very next game where these guys, they played. I was impressed by the football that they played, but they were also very compact defensively. They gave Benfica not a lot of room to apply their football, and therefore Rafa's of the world, Darwin's of the world. Now they're getting into the box. They got to take guys one-on-one. They don't have that ability to beat guys one-on-one because the field is short, and they can't just put a lot para frente and beat them. So even though Rafa does a lot of that, right? It's not good enough in games like this unless Benfica's on a like when he scored. Nobody was expecting that. A cross into the box. He beats the guy with his speed, gets in a good position, is able to put the ball in the back of the net, and there it is. And yes, Cesar, I see you. Yeah, yeah, that's fine. You can crack, but that's the only midfielder you have that can do that. That's why JJ still to this day tries to play that guy as much as he does, because he gives you something that no other midfielder on this team has, which is carries the ball upfield, is able to take players one-on-one. Yes, he gives up the ball a lot, turns it over tremendously, but he still has that ability to fit that thread through that needle, right? Through that needle hole, right? Which nobody else on this team could do.
Yeah. But I mean, we all know what that brings, but the risk factor involved with it is a lot higher than what he could bring. He could bring something on just at the spur of the moment. He could create something. But the fact that he could also lose the ball and leave the team in a state of unbalanced, and and we've seen him give. There was I don't know what game it was. It might have been this where you had a heel pass and it ended up being a counterattack.
Yeah. Look, I like that up more than most of you guys do. But at this point, I'm ready to turn the page. I'm ready to turn the page. Like, look, he's 31. If he's not getting the playing time that I like to, like, what's he really adding? He's not. So bring somebody in who's younger, but you need those characteristics. Benfica severely lack a creative midfielder, creative presence, a guy that can do exactly those things, break the lines with passes. You don't have a lot of that. You don't have those. Weigl does. He might look. These guys will do it once a game, right? Yeah. But we're talking about. You've seen Verissimo spring a Rafa on a great through ball in Benfica scoring and plays like that. Yes, these guys have the ability to do that, right? On one play, 2 plays a game. I'm talking about constantly, over and over. Every time these guys got the ball, I'm the defense. I got to be on my toes because I don't know who's making a run, because this guy's able to put the ball in the spot that, I'm not going to be able to turn in time and cover that space. So there is no threat. There isn't that threat on this Benfica team with the Weigls, Romarios. No, I mean, they're just on a consistent basis. There isn't. And so we struggle in games like this. Like
when team is back.
Because they just sit back and like, all right, go do what you got to do.
Yeah, and that's why
we don't shoot from the last thing. We don't shoot from the outside.
That's where I was going to go.
We don't shoot from the outside. Most of our crosses are atrocious. Atrocious. So like, I'm just going to sit back here. Do you?
No, and that's the other thing that I wanted to say is that if we have somebody that could shoot from the outside, now the defense or the players that are playing in defending Benfica, now they know that I gotta come out. I gotta come out and defend the shot. And that's not the case. We barely have anyone that could shoot from the outside. Like even if it's over the goal. Because now if you do that, and the more you do that, you're conditioning the defensive players having to come out. And when they come out, they leave space behind their backs. But look, most important thing out of this game is the 3 points. I know that I know that it came out. It came at very late, left it very late. But who's to say that at the end of the season we're not looking at this game as a game that we really needed those 3 points, and that was key.
Look, like Dave mentioned, to go along with your very late, This is the latest goal in the history of Benfica. And there's a lot of history.
Game-winning goal.
Oh, game-winning. Oh, okay.
The latest game-winning goal.
Dave,
90 plus 8th minute.
Dave, give it to us. Give us the stats so we can go on.
Well, Cristiano already took that one there, but Rafa with his 50th goal of his career in the Portuguese league, 13 for Braga, 37 for us. Now tied with Darwin at top of Benfica's top scorer this season with his 6th goal of the season. And his goal in the 98th minute was the latest game-winning goal in Benfica's history.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, man. It's one of those games, man. And I think that there's a lot of teams that are going to have a hard time playing at Vizela because of, how organized and well coached that they are.
You would hope.
Yeah.
I hope this isn't just their Super Bowl, their World Cup final, and they lay down for the other two big teams. But if they play like that against the other two, then yeah, there's going to be a couple of clubs that drop points.
Yeah,
there.
Well. Look, you got you have Benfica right now going to a little bit of a rough patch. We're still getting the W's here and there. We're still in first place, but you had the Portimonense lost, right? Then you had the Trofense fiasco. You had the loss against Bayern, and now you have this game against Vizela, which is far from being a comfortable win. So right now we got the League Cup coming up against Guimarães, and damn,
I was going to say
we're going to be tested.
I was going to say we're having difficulties against these ENS teams, Portimonense, Trofense, but then Bayernense.
Bayernense.
that doesn't quite rhyme.
So. Bayernense. Yeah, it could rhyme. It could be whatever you want.
Team of the comedians joined us. Appreciate it.
Shout out to Timo. But anyway, we got Guimarães League Cup this Wednesday. Dave, what's going on with Guimarães?
Well, we already played them about a month ago. We beat them 3-1 in Guimarães. But since then, they have gone 3-0, 3 wins against Famalicão, Oliveira Hospital. I guess me and Chris get free membership over there, and Marítimo. So 3 wins since the 3-1 defeat for them. Historically, in this competition against Guimarães, we've beaten them 4 times and gotten 3 draws. Last season, we beat them and eliminated them in the quarterfinals on PKs.
Yeah, a trip to the Dom Afonso Henriques is never an easy task for Benfica. And
we win this, we're in the Final Four, right?
Yeah,
NCAA.
Yeah, so what happened for you guys that haven't been paying attention? There's 4 groups of 3 teams each. Each one of the winners of each of the groups will be in a Final Four. So the semifinals, really, and then they'll play them.
But isn't this already? This is already the decision game.
No.
We gotta still play.
We gotta play 2 games. We gotta play. That's not. I said Rio Ave before. It's Covilhã, Guimarães, and Benfica in that one group. So if we beat
Guimarães is already played and they got the 3 points.
Yeah,
so
Guimarães has already beaten Covilhã.
Oh, okay.
So Benfica will need to beat Guimarães, and then we'll need.
With you traveling, bro, I lose my place. I lose my. I don't.
I know.
Stop paying attention to the stuff.
But yeah, so look, it's not going to be easy, and coming off this run of games, which is not very consistent from what we've seen from this Benfica team. As of late, it leaves me a little bit cautious for tomorrow. Cristiano, what do you think about tomorrow?
Amanhã, I mean, look, it all depends, obviously, on his rotations. Let's see what he's going to do, who's going to take out, who's going to put in. I like to see some players like the Vigos of the world, João Marios of the world, because he looked a little tired in the game on Sunday. So those guys need a breather. And at the end of the day, it's not just about getting these guys a breather. We need to lengthen our options. We need to get these other players on the field, because from today to tomorrow, you know how it is in football. The Vigos of the world, João Marios, these guys could pick up injuries, and then we need to rely on these guys. And it's going to take these guys some time to get into the rhythm of things. So I'd rather get that out of the way, as soon as possible, because every player on this roster is going to be needed at one point or another. We talked so much at the beginning of the season, about the 4 defenders, right? They've all gone down. We talked so much about the 5 strikers. Look how many of them have gone down. Sferovic, Pinho, you know what I mean?
By the way, Pinho's out
for the season. And then obviously Vinicius is gone. Vinicius is left. So look,
he's out for the season too.
He's out for the season too. So obviously, we need these other guys to be options. We need these guys to be available. We need these guys to come in. And I said this, I don't know, since day one here on the podcast, right? Same, it's over and over. They need to grab the damn bull by the horns and take advantage of their opportunity. So I want to see some squad rotation tomorrow. That being said,
he's already admitted that there will be some squad rotation.
Okay.
And again, there are some prerequisites for the League Cup. I think you gotta have.
I think it's 2.
You gotta have 2 homegrown players, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Do they have to be under a certain age limit too, or it can be a homegrown 35-year-old?
You know what? I don't know, but you might be right, because I remember I don't know if
Dave, you're the stats guy.
You guys remember
Why are you asking us?
Nelson Oliveira, right?
Yes.
He used to get playing time in the League Cup because it was a prerequisite, and he met that prerequisite.
So Gonzalo plays tomorrow.
I think Gonzalo plays tomorrow.
Morato
Does Bernardo get a spot in the mid?
I don't know, dude.
That's a good one, because
with Jessen being hurt, I don't know.
Yeah, Jessen
look, I'm fearful for how many games João Mario and Weigl are going to get together, because too many games it's not good, man. And apparently Maite didn't turn out to be what JJ expected. I don't know if he's still going to. But yeah, we have a problem in that midfield if either Weigl or João Mario go down, or both.
You also have Ferru on the bench too, to get that homegrown quota.
You could do that. Yeah, you could do that. But I don't know how much he's going to change the team against Guimarães. I don't expect to see what Porto did today. Porto played with all 10 subs. And there was one guy that played that it's the usual starter. And we all saw how that worked out. But yeah, I'm a little bit cautiously optimistic for this Guimarães game. And after Guimarães, it doesn't get any easier. We got Estoril,
who's had a terrific start to the season.
Dave,
here so far.
Tell us about Estoril.
There you go. Just piggybacking off Chris, they're in 4th position right now with 18 points from 5 wins, 3 draws, 1 defeat. They've scored the 3rd most goals this season in the league, 14 goals, only behind Porto with 21 and 20 for us. Tied with Sporting as well with 14 goals scored this season. And they're led up front by Andre Franco, who's already have 5 goals scored in the Portuguese league competition this year. Both clubs met last season in the Taça Portugal semifinal, in which Benfica won both matches 3-1 and 2-0. Historically, between the two clubs, 49 wins, 11 draws, 4 defeats. The last defeat came November 1950. So over quite a almost 71 years. Quick math there, but it's been 70 years since Estoril beaten Benfica.
I remember of a game against Estoril that cost us a title. But I don't think we lost that. That Cesar Martins
must have been a draw.
Cesar Martins thing. I'm pretty sure that that a lot of people remember that. But look, certainly not an easy game by any means. We play on Wednesday for the League Cup in Guimarães, and then we play Saturday against Estoril. So tough cycle here for Benfica, because and Dave, I don't know if you want to run through these. I don't know if you have these, but I have all the game. I have the games in front of me. So at Guimarães, at Estoril, at Bayern, host Braga, host Paços Ferreira for the Portuguese Cup, then at Barca and at BSAD. That is the rest of the month of October and whole of November. To start December, we got Sporting on the 3rd, I believe, at Stadio Luz. So, I mean, a very important spell here for Benfica as we need to remain consistent and remain on top of that league with some European decisions to be made, especially the game in Catalonia, not so much the game in Munich. I think that's a foregone conclusion. I think we're going to give up a few goals on that, and I think that Munich will look to wrap up the Champions League there against Benfica. They're at least their first place. I think they'll wrap that up. But yeah, tough games coming up. But we need to get back into that consistency level. Christina, do you think it's a coincidence that we played well up until the election, and then after the election, we've kind of been rocky?
Dude, you're miles ahead of me. I'm not even thinking about that. I'm hoping that's not the case. I mean, we'll see what happens. Look, the fact is, they lost to Portimonense, but they played really well that game. It was one of those games you lose, but how do I put it? Benfica won this game on Sunday against Vuvuzela, where they had no business winning, but then they lost that game against Portimonense where they outplayed them, and look, they were unlucky that game. So you can't be too upset. Like, obviously, you're never happy, right? I just went off on a 30-minute rant before about losing and the expectations and stuff like that. So you can't be happy about them losing that game, but the way they played, you can't be too discontent about the way they played. So then you play up, you go play that Daça game. Obviously, you expected more out of the players. You're disappointed by their performance, but look, a win's a win, and the important thing is to get on through to the next round and and see what happens then. Then you go up against the big Bayernenses of the world, right? It's going into that game. If I told you, they were losing, would you be shocked? No, I don't think anybody was. And then you come out of that game, you play a subpar performance in a field, as you mentioned before, with tremendous support from their crowds, and so it was going to be difficult. That team actually played football, with the exception of wasting time, which was pathetic, but they played football. Very well coached team. They did a tremendous job. Benfica got lucky. They got lucky to come over with all 3 points. So we'll see what happens. Let's see their performance tomorrow. But again, even that, you have to take it a grain of salt, because you expect a bunch of squad rotations. And then after that, you got a tough matchup in the Estoril Praia, who have started off so spectacularly this season. They got the kid Chiquinho, who's tearing it up. They're going to be a threat. They're going to be a threat. That game is going to tell me more about where Benfica is today than tomorrow's game and any of these past 3 games.
Yeah, well, we shall see. We shall see. But again, we need to get back on the horse and put some consistency together. Because we're heading into a crucial time of the season. We got Braga on the horizon. We got Sporting a little bit further, and Porto's not too far back from Sporting. So, what else we got?
I'm ready to go to sleep.
Me too. Thank you to all the Freddies that joined us and kept us company in the chat. You guys are active on the chat, so thank you, Timo. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, Timo, Chico, Cesar.
Yeah.
Go up.
Chico Marcelino Cesar.
Keep going up.
Davey Ann.
Yeah, keep going up. Scroll up. We don't want to miss anybody. Your boy, man. Carlos. You can't forget Carlos.
Cesar. We already mentioned
Any other million of you guys in the chat. Appreciate it. My man, Subwoofer from Louisiana. Yeah. Bruno. All these, we learned something new. We got a dude in Louisiana. That's what's up.
It is.
Go LSU, baby.
Patrick Swofford.
There it is. Montreal, right. Bruno. I mean, this is international, bro. Look, I think you all should give your address, Alfredo.
For what?
And they all send us
postcard?
their local specialty in like baking, like apple pie.
I thought you were on a diet, dude.
Who cares, bro? That's why I said to your house.
Oh.
But, some crawfish pie or something. I don't know, whatever.
Crawfish pie? That sounds delicious.
It sounds delicious. Yeah, over there in Montreal, what is it?
Poutine.
Poutine.
Well, Putin's Russian, though. But whatever. Who cares?
Poutine.
Yeah.
How do you say it, Dave?
I say poutine, but the French putain.
Putain. Oui, monsieur, putain.
Calling
in a French fry.
Bad word, putain.
Not cracking on my French people. Love you guys. Is it true that French? No, I'm not going to. When I was literally
Chico,
sick.
this is the oldest Benfica podcast.
The oldest.
This is the oldest. There was really none before us.
There was no internet before, bro.
And there's a lot of good projects that have come up.
Yes, sir. Yeah, everybody's doing
our brothers over at Benfica After 90. They do a good job with their going live after.
There's so many, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of people doing good things, man, and it's great. It's great to see people that are passionate.
Big shout out to my man Mello. Mello's the man. That's my dude.
That's right, Alex.
The Raiders suck.
The thing, the thing with
Bob the Builder, we're gonna go from baking goods.
Orlando.
We're going from baking goods to come fix my basement. I got flooded.
Bob the Builder.
No,
that there's a lot of people doing a lot of great things, man, and as a lot of people find out, doing the podcast every week is not easy, especially sticking to it. We've all seen ones come and go, obviously, and I'm sure they had every good intent to go on with the project, but it takes a lot of time, man. It's just not coming here and turning things on and just bullshit your way through it.
Be honest, the three of us have no life.
It takes time to research. Dave does a great job with the stats, and Cristiano does a great job with I don't know what. And then me, I try to put it all together.
I support you, bro. I'm your crutch, so you don't fall over to the side.
Love you too, Patrick.
My man, he's still here.
Still there.
You ain't fighting off the Gators?
Nah, man.
Love you guys.
All the best to you guys. Stay safe out there. Next week, we will recap the Bota Guimarães game and the Estoril game, and we'll look ahead to what's next for Benfica. Thanks a lot for checking us out. Stay well. Força Benfica.
Correct.